Welcome to Lesson 2, Part 2, Solving Inequalities in One or More Steps. And here's the more steps part. So, if we remember from Part 1, our inequalities work just like our equations do, except that they mean something different. And we can also graph them on a number line to show where all the solutions are. And our solving in 2 or more steps works just like it did whenever we solved equations in 2 or more steps. So I'm just going to go through these 4 examples, and there's 4 examples for you to try in your group. And that's all we're going to do in this lesson. We're going to apply everything we've done so far into one thing. So here we have number 1, 2x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 24. So what we're going to do is, remember, whenever we solve in 2 steps, we want to isolate this term before we touch it, before we manipulate it, before we move anything from it. So that means we need to get rid of this plus 4, so we subtract 4, which leaves me with 2x greater than or equal to 20. Now we solve for x by dividing by 2, and we get x is greater than or equal to 10. And then you would graph it on a number line. Number 2, m divided by 3 is minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 6. So we need to add 3 first. And we get m divided by 3 is less than or equal to negative 3. Now we can multiply by 3. And we get m is less than or equal to negative 9. Now, something to note. Yes, there is a negative 3 here, and yes, we get a negative number here. But that doesn't mean that our inequality symbol switches. The inequality symbol will only switch, it will only flip, if you multiply or divide by a negative, not if there's just a negative there. So if you multiply or divide by a negative, it flips. That's the only time. Okay, on to number 3. This one's a little different. This one's going to be more than 2 steps. What we need to do is we need to distribute this negative 3. So we distribute negative 3, negative 3x, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, less than or equal to negative 18. Then we add 3. So negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 15. Now we divide by negative 3, and we just divided by a negative, so that means our inequality is going to flip. Negative 15 divided by negative 3, 2 negatives make a positive, so we get x greater than or equal to 5. Then we're going to use the same idea here for number 4. Distribute. Negative 4 times negative 4, 2 negatives make a positive. Negative 4 times x, negative 4x, greater than 56. So we're going to do subtract 16, and we get negative 4x is greater than 40. Divide by negative 4. We divided by a negative, so our inequality flips. 40 divided by negative 4 is negative 10. So these 2-step, 3-step problems are just about doing all the little steps we've done before and putting them into one thing. So it's time for you to go ahead and practice this yourself. So go ahead in your group, work through these 4 examples by pausing the video now. Alright, and here are the solutions to those examples. Again, I didn't graph them, I didn't really have much room, but I would like for you to graph them, so if you didn't do that, go ahead and do that after you are done watching the video and check your answers.